नमस्ते दीदी। नमस्ते सर।
नमस्ते।
Namaskar, sir.
Namaskara. Namaste, everyone. We'll start on the new subject, Bhagavad Gita. Mm, Let us start with the Shanti Mantra. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Graditam Purana Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitaamrutavarshiniim Bhagavati Ashtadhyasha Dhyayiniim Ambatvamanusandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Even though Bhagavad Gita is a huge text of 700 shlokas, we will not take up all the 700 shlokas because it becomes too much. Whatever that we take up, it should be properly understood and clearly applicable to in our day-to-day life. So we are fortunate that S. Vyasa, Dr. Nagendra has compiled these 4 streams of yoga. In the case of Vyasa Pushpanjali, they have this. Each stream has about 18 shlokas, so totally together about 72 shlokas. I thought initially that's very good to see that we go through these things. And this is also very common because basically all the Vyasa students, all the students connected with the yoga, they always chant these 4 streams of yoga. So these are familiar shlokas. So we'll take up that. And if you don't have the books, you can always get Vyasa Pushpanjali. It is there in several languages. Hindi is there, in Sanskrit it is there, and also in Telugu, Kannada. So, and also various other languages also they have brought out. So you can have them so that you can follow these 4 streams of yoga. That will be useful. Instead of going to the before going to the 4 streams of yoga, let me give you the background. And the culture holds Bhagavad Gita as one of the primary texts, very important text in the spirituality. And in my view, these 2 texts, they are the texts of yoga. They establish extraordinary, wonderful direction for the mankind. One is the Ramayana and that is the Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata. These are the 2 epics or stories that are there. In Ramayana, though it is not very popular, the discussion about yoga is between Rama and also Vasishta. Therefore, it is called as Yoga Vasishta. And in, of course, Krishna and Arjuna in the battlefield, when they discuss, that's what is Bhagavad Gita. And even before the Ramayana has come, even before the Bhagavad Gita has come, yoga has been part of this culture. Right from the beginning, yoga has been there, and that you can see that in the Vedas, reference about yoga comes. There is a definition of yoga in one of the Upanishads you have in the Vedas, that is, Tam yogamiti manyante sthiram indriya dharanam. It is there, which means basically yoga is a part of the culture. Only thing is that Ramayana eloquently that yoga has been given by Vasishta, and then Mahabharata, Krishna in the form of Bhagavad Gita, he gives to Arjuna. So these are the 2 yoga texts. Though the whole life itself is yoga, these 2 are supposed to be yoga texts. Now, that means to say basically these 2 texts where the ideas of yoga have been used to improve, help the personalities of their Rama, and here it is Arjuna. And there was connection even before Bhagavad Gita has started. Krishna and Arjuna, they were there together. But why did Krishna has to? Why does Krishna have to wait till Mahabharata war? Because probably that is a time which is given the opportunity for him to really convey the message. Unless until that somebody has the urge, need, it cannot be given. This truth has not been given. Otherwise, the life is there going on. Yoga way of life was there. That clarity is given by Bhagavad Gita to Krishna to Arjuna. So that is basically the idea. Now, this whole life itself is yoga way, not only in the form of these texts that are there, the knowledge that is there, but even the lifestyle has been designed that way. Going towards spiritual direction is a lifestyle. And that's what you can see in the Varnashrama Dharma, all these things that you can see always, that lifestyle is in a yoga way, it has been given. So, and this culture, people have been following this all the way, all the time. Many times what happens is that though we live in that, we will not understand that, we will know that, like the way the fish lives in the water, but the fish does not know that the importance of water. Life is going on, life is so designed. Wise people have given us a life, so therefore that we follow that. We never question it. But in this culture, extraordinary thing is we developed questioning before anybody else anywhere in this world, they have thought about it. That's what is Sankhya philosophy or the Nyaya philosophy are essentially there to question. And we have developed that. The great saints have questioned. In fact, unparalleled kind of question that they have asked. So therefore, questioning is something a part of this culture. But then over a period of time, what happens is that some of the practices have become natural for us. We continue to do it without questioning the background behind it. The philosophy behind it goes underground. Such cases that these books still help us. So lifestyle is there, yoga way of lifestyle, but these books help us to see bring to surface the logic idea behind it. So when I say that, what I mean to say that even Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Vasishta, Ramayana, Mahabharata, we always look at from the point of view of intellect questioning. But we would see that question is a tool, intellect is a tool, but we have to go beyond the tool also. So that is what both these texts give us, the direction to see that how we understand these things and then go further in this particular journey. Now, what is the situation which prompted that these two texts have to be given? Rama has been very good, has been very nice. He has gone through all the training that is necessary as a student under the Vasishta's ashrama. Everything has been done. After that, he also went to various pilgrim centers. He spiritually that he was equipped, all those things were there. In spite of it, he went into depression. Rama went into depression. And then when Vishwamitra came seeking the help of Rama and Lakshmana to protect his yajna yaga, and he said, please send Rama. That is the moment that they found out Rama was in depression and he cannot help. One thing is that Dasharatha said that I will go with you. No, I don't want you to come. I want Rama to come. And whatever that is supposed to be, help in Rama to come out of his depression, we'll do that. Because the purpose is him has to come. That is the basic idea. Now, second thing is that often there is, I think, discussion went on in Ramayana. So that you have all the powers of sadhana. Why don't you use those powers to see that these rishis this yaga is protected from the demons? And he said, when the protection of the yaga is the responsibility of the king, king has to do it. I have the power that I could stop it, I could do anything. But there are so many saints who are sitting there meditating and all that. Their yaga, yajna also being disturbed. So therefore, it is the king's purview. I don't want to step into the king's purview until unless it is absolutely necessary. So therefore, that there was a ground is created that Rama has to go through this. Then Rama was brought and then questioned, and he was into depression. And then Vishwamitra at that time says that this is more of a spiritual nature, so I can't help it. Vasishtha should help him. Therefore, the discussion went on between Rama and Vasishtha, and that came out in the form of text of Yoga Vasishtha. The very name text shows that Yoga Vasishtha, that means it's a treatise on yoga, or it's a depth of yoga that has been discussed. And it's a very intellectual text. There are a lot of details are there in that text. But the end of that text is, after all that text that is being transmitted, Valmiki, Vishwamitra takes Rama to his ashram. And then night he sleeps. Next morning when he wakes up, uh, with a beautiful shloka that Vishwamitra wakes him up saying that Kausalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravardate Uttishta Narachardhula Kartavyam Daivamanikam. Which means basically you are woken up to do the Daivamanikam Kartavyam. That means God ordained kind of an activity. It's not a simple activity. So therefore that Yoga Vasishtha prepared Rama for taking up such a huge activity. And later on, that same shloka has been taken by uh, this Venkateshwar Suprabhatam also. But the whole idea is that the power of yoga can be in such a way that it can create the whole yuga, the whole change of the mankind. That is what happened. And you can see in the life of Rama, afterwards, he went on protecting the dharma such a big way that he has done it. Same way in the case of Krishna has helped so much. Right from the beginning, he gave his support, he gave his company to Pandavas and boosted their ego, not only in the kingdom, but later on, in so many ways that he has done it. Not only Pandavas, his mother, everybody he has boosted. Their wife, Draupadi, he has given so much. He has taken such special interest in them. Sometimes it looks like that Krishna has been very partial towards favorable to these people and not favorable because that right from the beginning they have shown their adherence to dharma. Because of that he supported dharma. Krishna said, actually I support dharma. I stand on dharma's side, even though the whole power, the whole army is on the other side. My support is always toward dharma. This is what is the way that Krishna takes up. And that you can see number of times. In spite of all that he has done, like for example, when they were given the Khandavana, and at that time Krishna says, this is a karma bhumi for you. You can build up the whole thing. And you know how he boosts their ego or their confidence, saying that if you build the kingdom, you know how to maintain the kingdom. Well, Pandavas, Kauravas, then they got the kingdom from ancestors. They don't know how to manage it. And that you can see that. And that's how basically he encourages them. Not only that, he encourages them. When they went into the later on, he went himself looking at their confidence. He said, I will go for negotiations. But in spite of the fact that I go for negotiations, do you think that negotiations will work? It doesn't work. Because basically, never you can find out a negotiation between the good and bad, dharma and adharma. It is going to happen. War is going to happen. All those things he said, everything he did, prepared Arjuna for this particular moment that dharma fights adharma. And he also said very clearly that, look, it's not you are fighting the war, they are inviting for the war. If they invite for the war, victory is yours. Like that, all these things he said and brought them to the war field. After coming to the battlefield, and Arjuna, who's prepared so much to become the chief of the army, later on also in shlokas that we can see that how Krishna addresses that. In spite of the fact all those things happen, one small little misunderstanding from the point of view of Duryodhana Arjuna, he said he fell down completely flat. He said that I can't fight the war, my hands are shaking, legs are shaking, I'm slumping down. All that he says. See, anybody at that point of time would have really been upset with the whole thing. See, I did so much, but Krishna didn't say that. Krishna has guided him in the proper direction so that he prepares himself for the war. And for that, Bhagavad Gita. Look at the way that how much it helped in the Bhagavad Gita to see that it changed the whole course of the country, course of the nation. And actually, today the calendar, they say, is it is a time of Bhagavad Gita, which has set up a new era for us. That was the kind of teaching that we have, extraordinary thing. In fact, there are wars have taken place and great kings are involved and all those things are there, wars were there. But Mahabharata war is something which can never be forgotten. Not forgotten because of two reasons. One is that Mahabharata war is the only war which has got this message of Bhagavad Gita. That's one reason. And second thing is Mahabharata war is the one thing which has given us the Vishnu Sahasranama, which is the most important thing. So establishing that divinity is there taking care of us, our consciousness is there taking care of us, and we are the part of that, we are the born out of that consciousness. And that's the one message that is given. And second message is that in Bhagavad Gita is that everything can be questioned and logically presented in such a way that it can help you gain your confidence. Now, in this Bhagavad Gita, the beginning itself, you can see that how the whole thing develops into Gita. Now, before even taking up that, the question comes up 700 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. It takes just simple reading itself will take about 3.5 to 4 hours, or even more than that. What were the people doing that? The war people. It was not like today's war. There you bomb somebody and come out in the night and all those things, and you can do the whole Operation Sindur, can do it in about hour or 2 hours, you can finish the whole thing. But it is not like that. Army has to stand right in front of us. They have to have swords, they have to have bows and arrow. It's a huge establishment that is there. And that too, it is not small little number of people. The number of people were so many. And what were these people doing when these people were discussing for 3, 4, 5 hours in Mahabharata war that's happening? I mean to say that they were sleeping or they didn't want to insist that war to be fought. See, we all have to think of this Bhagavad Gita from the realistic perspective. So the way that I look at it, some people say that never happened and all that. It is very easy to dismiss anything. But to substantiate is something which is very important. And this happened because we have all the other evidences about Mahabharata war. Kurukshetra is still there, and then these people they were there, and how those places where they went on, they were taken. All those things, evidences are there. So naturally, this whole thing must have happened. Of all these things, do you think that Kurukshetra, the Bhagavad Gita is one thing which is a fiction? It also must have happened. But how we could substantiate this Bhagavad Gita is normally what happens is that any war of that particular size of the nature that is taking place, after all those people have assembled, before to start the war, they would engage in kind of arrangements and discussions and all that, which will go for maybe an hour, maybe a couple of hours. It's normal that it can happen. Simple thing is, I see that in a tennis match and a cricket match, when I come across, after the everybody assembled and the umpire is there and the players have come and then field is set. After all those things, it takes at least about 15-20 minutes before you start, half an hour to start. So in a war like this, taking 1 hour to start is something which is natural. And that 1 hour is used for discussion. And that discussion, it was not so elaborate. Actually, the discussion must have happened in such a short way that Arjuna got convinced about the war. But by the time that discussion was put into the words, in the form of words, it has taken 700 shlokas. So it is always like that. The perception and expression gap is so big. Like, for example, you perceived something and then you sit down and try to write out what all that you perceived. It takes at least about 4, 5, 10 pages before you really complete all this. In spite of all those things, you're not very sure that what you're given. But here at least that in 700 shlokas, Bhagavad Gita has been really written. Only thing is that while writing, he might have elaborated certain issues where Krishna could convince Arjuna in a short way. So therefore, this is simply has taken place. And this was taking place, there is an evidence also about that, saying that when these two people were discussing the battlefield, Arjuna and Duryodhana, Arjuna and Krishna, meanwhile, Duryodhana was there with Bhishma, and he asked Bhishma, what is it they're discussing? Why don't they start war immediately? Why are they wasting time? Duryodhana, when he asked that sin, Bhishma says, my dear son, you brought the war this far. War anyway will take place. Don't be in a hurry to die. I said, no, I'm not going to die. In fact, they must be discussing how to run away from the battlefield. Yes, they were really discussing how to go away from the battlefield, but it's not out of fear. Some people will express even that out of fear, but it is not out of fear. But it was some reason because of which that Arjuna was saying that we'll go away from the battlefield. Then Bhishma smiles and says to Duryodhana, Duryodhana, whole life you have been stupid. You don't have to show your stupidity now. Hmm? Let them discuss. Anyway, they will come to war. And then he says something which is very beautiful. And that he said, I don't know whatever that they are discussing. I never prayed any God for any favor in my long life. He spanned for 3 generations. In this long life, I never asked for any prayer from any God. But now I feel like praying to the wind God. Why don't you blow from that side to this side so that I can hear at least a few words and I feel satisfied? Must have been the idea that Bhishma had in his mind. Bhishma only could have that in his mind because Bhishma is the only person who knew what's the capacity of Krishna and how good Arjuna is. And the problem came to Arjuna not for Duryodhana. That means basically the good suffers. Good has the difficulty. Good becomes sensitive. Bad will not be sensitive. That's why Duryodhana was insensitive for the whole thing. Arjuna was good. If Duryodhana was to be given, there is no reason for giving Bhagavad Gita. He has said, stop all these bad things and then be with them, negotiate with them, and everything will be all right. But that Krishna tried anyway. That did not work. So, therefore, this discussion has taken place because of Arjuna. But then the whole thing is not, you cannot blame everything about Arjuna because he had these questions. But actually, the blame goes to Krishna also. You know, Krishna is not an ordinary person. Don't take Krishna easily. He's a very cunning fellow. We know that. How Krishna is, how many times that he has given us so many different kind of shocks in his lifetime. Here also it is like that. Arjuna in the first chapter very clearly Bhagavad Gita can see that take the chariot and keep in between both this army so that I can plan the war strategy. Senayor bhayor madhye ratam stapaya machyuta. Stop the chariot in between so that I can plan the war strategy that is necessary. I have to plan that vyuha. They call it as, the chakravyuha, this vyuha, that vyuha. So I have to plan that. So let's plan that way. So take the chariot in between the army. If Krishna has taken the chariot and kept it in front of Duryodhana Dushasana, Arjuna would have immediately said, okay, let's fight the war because these are the people who have really did so much to our family, damaged our family, this and that. Therefore, let's fight the war. Immediately he would have said. So Bhagavad Gita would have ended in 2 chapters. It would not have gone to 700 shlokas or this 18 chapters. But Krishna took that chariot and kept it in front of Bhishma and Drona. Now, the moment that Arjuna sees Bhishma and Drona, all that he remembered, oh my grandfather, oh my teacher, oh my this thing, I've learned this thing. I grew up in your lap, you fed me my milk, early milk, this, that, and all this. Whole Drona, all those things. So, whose problem is it? It's not Arjuna who created, Krishna created the problem. But the idea is that why Krishna did that? Very important point. And that is what we should learn from the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that he kept the chariot in between Bhishma and Drona instead of Duryodhana and Dushasana, because if it were there in front of Duryodhana and Dushasana, then Arjuna's anger would have been enraged. Arjuna's venom would have come up. His idea of taking revenge would have come. He would have been in fire. And with that, he would have fought the war. If you fight the war with that anger, with that hatred, with these things, you are not getting benefit. Your anger gets benefit. Your hatred will be encouraged. It's not anymore a spiritual journey. It will be totally a journey which is encouraging your anger, hatred, your venom, and all those things. That should not be done. That's why he kept Bhishma and Drona. But the moment he kept in front of Bhishma and Drona, anger and all those things will not come, even though they are enemies on the enemy side. But the most important that happens when it is his attachment to them. His relationship with them becomes important. He is not looking at dharma. On the other side, looking at relationship. Even that should not be cause for fight. And that will not fight also. That's why he says, let me run away from the battlefield. That means many times what happens, your own responsibilities, your own duties that are there, you forget when you are emotionally stuck. That should not happen. And if he does not fight, who else is there to fight? In fact, later on he says that you are meant to be like that. You're trained to be like that. And then if your emotions stop you from standing for your own dharma, what's the use of it? So therefore, he has to educate him now to see that how to come out of the infatuation, how to come out of this attachment to these people. They're wonderful. And that too, you cannot say to Arjuna that look, they're bad. Just because they're supporting Duryodhana, that they're bad. No, they're not bad. They're praiseworthy. They're extraordinary. But in spite of it, you have a different purpose. You are not standing here as their a grandson, etc., etc. But you are standing here somebody who is custodian of dharma. So this is what has to be given. Dharma is the way has to be done. So fighting the war, dharma has to fight the war, not your emotions. That's why any vishada can take us to negativity. Any vishada can take us to the ideas of egoistic way of approach. See, like many people appeal in such a way.
Point of view to viewpoint. They hear
Yeah.
voices also that is right?
Many people will provoke your
Anger.
either anger or your compassion. They show a video of how people in Bangladesh are suffering, blah, 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 that therefore you give the donation. I don't know whether your donation will go there or not, but they try to stir your emotions. And then what happens? It's sympathy that comes up, not the compassion. Sympathy is where you are one step ahead. You are capable of serving somebody, you are capable of giving somebody. That should not be there. That's why I said charity was never encouraged. Yeah, your compassion is wonderful, but you don't have to have charity. Right? Like the way that you are built up, everybody can build up. You are also another human being. If somebody is suffering where you can help it, that you can do it. But do it as if he is part of you, not as a charity. Just as Vishada, therefore, is poisonous. And Vishada has to be turned into yoga. And Vishada can be turned into yoga. That's an extraordinary, wonderful yoga. That's the reason first chapter is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. We have to learn this lesson from Arjuna Vishada Yoga that it is not the question of charity somebody is looking for. It's the question of your sympathy somebody is looking for, your compassion, your being with them, the righteousness. That is what should lead you rather than all these things. When that is done, in all these things, there is a division that is created. Your upper hand, that fellow is lower hand, and he's ready to, he can take your arms, therefore he can go. No, I don't want. He says that you feel hurt actually. See, I try to help him. He says that don't help me. You're you are hurt, you're feeling. That's not the way that one has to happen. It has to happen such a way that dharma has to be set up. Dharma has to fight the war. So dharma has to be given. That's the reason why Arjuna Vishad Yoga becomes very important. It sets us now the direction that dharmic way of life is to be given. That's the reason why Bhagavad Gita is 18 chapters. It's not short way. There's no shortcut in that. Explains various aspects of it. That is why, in fact, how many times in Bhagavad Gita you can see that Arjuna's ego comes up, ego gets hurt, ego speaks. But then every time that Krishna's mother said, and that brings about the wisdom. Wisdom has to guide us. In fact, that's the basic difference in socialism, communism. They say that, oh, somebody is poor because somebody is rich. Therefore, you uplift the poor. How? You punish the rich. Punish the rich, therefore they serve the poor. Oh, all these things are slowly, they are just short-lived. They are local solutions. It's not the spiritual solution. Gita is a message which is given spiritual solution, like the way Yoga Vasishtha also gives. That's why it is an extraordinary, wonderful text. That's something which is very important. And it is samvada. It's a dialogue between two. And there in the samvada, in the beginning he says Krishna Arjuna Samvade. That means the person is Krishna. But once the samvadana starts, he is not Krishna, he is Bhagavan. That's why you see in whole of Bhagavad Gita, Sanjay's name comes, Arjuna's name comes, Dhritarashtra's name comes. But when the Krishna's name comes, he says Bhagavan Vacha. Why did he say Bhagavan Vacha? Simple reason is that within us, we also have the divine aspect of it and the material aspect of it. Both these things are there within us. The moment that we are looking at the material aspect of it, material gain, material support, and all that, that is what is Krishna. The moment that the divine aspect comes to us, that's what is Bhagavan Vacha. In fact, this whole simple difference that is there is used even in the uh, Christianity also so beautifully says that when Jesus Christ was taken on the cross, he said, why me? Why I'm suffering? I've not done anything wrong. Because the other person who was there was supposed to be a criminal. And then he is being punished. He is criminal. But I have not done anything like that. Why am I suffering? At that time, even that robber who was there, who was being uh, put on the cross, he smiles. And Jesus looks at him, taking the cross over there and raining and all that. It's so horrible, so terrible. And with all that terrible exercise that's going on, he smiles. And Jesus Christ said, what made you to smile? I said, I wonder the uh, decision of God. What is that? In my lifetime, I've never done anything which is supposed to be good. I've always been doing bad. I know that. And I deserve this punishment. I know that your lifetime you never done anything bad. You always help people. You always did good. We both are being taken on the cross. But what wondered me, without my knowledge, I might have done something good sometime. That's why I'm with you. Say, bad gets punished, that we can understand. And this Jesus Christ who said that, why me? The last point, last minute, he says, forgive them, O Lord. They don't know what they are doing. He said, when he had complained, he was son of Mary. When he said, forgive, O Lord, son of God. The transformation has occurred at that moment. We also have within us son of God and son of Mary. That means we are holding on to the material, we hold on to the divinity. We are in between. So a journey to go from the level of holding on to the material to the holding on to the divinity. That's what is a spiritual journey. This journey has to happen. It's not the outside journey. It's an inner journey, inner transformation we have to occur. And that journey is not so simple. That's why Krishna spends 700 shlokas in giving this idea. So it's a huge text. It's a huge information. So much of an information, I said that even in the first chapter, first thing that he has given, in fact, if I literally go into the Bhagavad Gita, even the first chapter shlokas are also very important, deep meaning that is there. But then I don't want to get into all that 700 shlokas, because the simple thing is that the beginning chapter, he says that the instrument that they are used, Krishna always liked fruit. He was having fruit. and Devi always used veena, etc., etc. But here, the description always goes the banging instruments, like the cymbals, this, that, and all that. See, all that shows that Rajasic kind of an activity, Rajasic kind of a thing. It's not Sattvic. It's not. So Yuddha is that kind. Yuddha has to enrage you into that area. That power within you, the energy within you has to come out in a Rajasic way. So that's what is important. So all that is given. That means to say the severity of the activity, it has to be shown. See, if you want to show the activity of severity, it has to be like that. Like somebody, is comes to you and says, ha ha ha, what? Just now, while coming, I've seen an accident. Accident, only two people got killed. Not what kind of message are you giving? And the message has to be banging kind of a thing. That's why in Taittiriya Upanishad it says that when you give a message, right kind of words you use and right kind of swara that you use. That is says that varna, swaraha, matra, balam, sama, sandha, all these things are important in what way that you say. That means the way that you say it should convey that.
Lawyers are so trained in that way.
Sorry?
Lawyers are so trained in that way. Other news,
So therefore, in Gita, when you read it, the first few shlokas, when you read that, you can see that these are the shankha that they have, and each shankha can curdle your stomach, your intestine. That's the kind of sound that is there, and the Panamukha, Gomukha, and all those things that he talks about. See, that shows what kind of scene are you expecting? Once that kind of a scene expressing, naturally Arjuna's mind is really stirred. He said, my God, I'm really going to kill these people? See? Therefore, he comes and saying that Krishna, is it right to kill these people? You should feel that. It's not that logic. That's why, you know, Bhagavad Gita, it's not a prose, it's a poetry. It's like all the emotions behind it. Don't read only the words. Look at the spirit it brings about. Look at the grandeur it brings about. And all that. When he hears all these sounds, all these things going on, so many people are there. My God, am I going to kill these people? Both the sides, our own people will be killed. That's what Arjuna's issue. And that's why he raises that issue, saying that, Krishna, are you going to kill our own people? It's better to go, leave everything and go to the forest so that everybody will be saved. You know, it may look to be very compassionate, very nice. Actually, a lot of people said that. But more importantly, it is egoistic statement, saying that I am the one who is responsible for killing. If it's me that I'm killing, if I run away, the killing will not take place. How many ways that it can be looked at? And that's what Krishna has to hit that, make him understand that. And Krishna is listening to what Arjuna says. Arjuna goes one step ahead. Hey Krishna, listen to me carefully. What is that? You think that I'm talking about only the people who are standing here? But so many people came for the war. Now you see, it goes from Bhishma and Drona to the other people. My own kith and kin and all that will be killed. More than that, so many people will be killed. And what is the kingdom left with? Widowed women and mentally, physically unchallenged men. Such men and widowed women, naturally, when you think of it, the society will be ruined. Varna Sankaraha. Beautiful word that Arjuna used. So look at this. It's a beautiful sociological question Arjuna raises. If the person who is standing there has to be Karl Marx or Confucius or somebody who is a socialistic philosopher, they would immediately appreciate it. Wow, such a wonderful point that you raised. Hey, Arjuna, I did not know about that. You raised that issue. Definitely, I should think of it, all that. But unfortunately, the fellow standing there is Krishna, not none of these people.
Instead of
And
Krishna, if it was Yudhishthira, what he would have said.
Yudhishthira says that in the beginning itself. When the way that Yudhishthira puts it so beautifully, In fact, that's what is the beginning itself, Harsha. Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kimukurvata Sanjaya. My people and enemies, Pandavas, what are they doing? He's fully egoistic, manifested there. Mamaka. You see, look at there itself. I mean, nice question that you raised. Dhritarashtra says in his shloka, Mamakaha Pandavas Chaiva Kemikurvata Sanjay. Arjuna says, my own people will be killed. Either side is my own people. See, that itself shows that Arjuna's view is much more universal compared to blind king. So, Dhritarashtra. So therefore, Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva, there he says, and here he says, my own people will be killed. So therefore, basically what happens is that a sociological question that he raised, but it's not a sociological issue. Even if it's a sociological question that he raised, Krishna could have said to him, hey Baba, this is a very simple question. I can answer you when you go back into the tent. You don't have to ask this question now, or we don't have to discuss this question in the battlefield. Everybody is ready to fight the war. There's no point in discussing this point here, isn't it? Actually, if somebody asks a philosophical question in the traffic, we don't answer. We say that, hey, let's sit down peacefully in a garden and then we talk about it. And Krishna is much more than that. So he would not have prepared to discuss in the battlefield. Krishna could have easily said, let's discuss about it when we sit down peacefully. Let's fight the war. I know what is right, because many times Krishna said that I know what is right. So let's fight the war later. Let us discuss about this later. Let's fight the war now. It's right in front of it. So do it. Krishna didn't say that. He was standing there with a nice, wonderful Nitish Bharadwaj smile. And now Arjuna goes one step ahead. See that step by step Arjuna. He says, look, Krishna, it's not my mental agony. It percolated in my physiology. My hands are shaking, legs are shaking, eyes are blurred. I can't see what's happening. Gandivam samte hasta, vepatusya shariram me. All these things are happening. There is no fitness for me to fight the war. I'm slumping down in the chariot. There is no way Krishna could have said, let's fight the war. I'll solve the problem later. Because immediate remedy is necessary. That's why Gita is not a text which is philosophically discussed. It is basically a situation-based, situation-forced Gita to become. It's very important. Anything less than that, Gita would not have been discussed. 40, 42 years, 45 years, Arjuna was there, Krishna was there. They were discussing, meeting so many times. So many situations were there where Krishna had to guide them. All that he did. He could have discussed with him. In fact, other Pandavas would have been there. Everybody would have been benefited. He doesn't have to hurry up in the battlefield. He could have taken his own time. Particularly Aranyavasa, he would have gone himself with them, like a retreat. But then why did he not discuss? He did not discuss which situation has not come. The situation has come to that level today. Now at this point of time, it is almost like suffocating you. There is no way that Krishna could have said, we'll discuss it later, fight the war. And if he doesn't fight the war, Dharma cannot be established. Look at the way, what is the situation it's created. A yuga cannot change. Kali Yuga came with that. That is the reason why Bhagavad Gita is discussed. Let's not take this Bhagavad Gita as a simple way. And let's not take a lot of people, they brush off the first chapter saying that it's unimportant. But first chapter is something which sets up the background behind the Bhagavad Gita.
Because we all suffer with that only.
Huh?
Because we are all suffering.
We all suffer from that. We are at the, we come to a level where the blind end is there. Now nothing else is there in front of us, a situation. That's where Bhagavad Gita is to help. That's why how beautifully Upanishad says is Sarva Dukkha Kshayakari, Sarva Saubhagya. It addresses your dukkha. If it is not addressing your dukkha, it's not philosophy. It has to address your dukkha. So therefore, why I'm saying all those things is later on the sutras that come, it has to be related to the life, real life. If Arjuna asks some question there in the Bhagavad Gita, Adibhutam, in the 8th chapter it comes, Adibhutam Ksharoba, Ade Daivam Kimuchate. It is not that a philosophical question, a question connected with the life. It's important to the life. When he says karma, karma, vikarma, it's connected with the day-to-day life. And he has to solve that issue. Otherwise, you can't take steps in the life. So therefore, any other philosophical text you might use some analogy, something like that, some blind king, blind seeing the elephant, etc., etc., all those analogies. Here, those things do not work. Bhagavad Gita doesn't work that way. It's not a philosophy. Patanjali gives us a philosophy. See, this is actually need-based, this situation-driven. Ramayana was, Yoga Vasishtha was situation-driven, these two texts. Patanjali is not like that. Patanjali put everything together, condensed it into formulae, gave the formula. You can apply anywhere. That is a different issue. But this is not like that. Second thing is, don't mystify anything here, because war is not a mystery. And people are standing there is not a mystery. Everything is like that, connected with that. So nothing is to be mystified in Bhagavad Gita. We can understand, we can put to use to see that how we can grow like the way. Along with Arjuna, we need to grow. That's what is very important. Another very important thing is that 18 chapters are there. It's such a beautiful progress. And some people, like for example, there are some saints who are divided into uh, three different sections. First 6 shlokas, one section. Second 6 shlokas, second section. Third is fourth section. And it is like the way that these sections, it's also good. I don't mind it. The way that how the life journey is going towards sannyasa moksha. The same way that Arjuna's duty from bound or the necessary life issue all the way to the moksha sannyasa yoga. Last chapter of Bhagavad Gita is moksha sannyasa. So even today when you take the step in the battlefield, it's connected with that moksha sannyasa yoga. Today, whatever that you take the step in the life, it has to be it has to have its path towards the ultimate of the life itself. If it is not that way, it's not the journey. And I think what we said is Bhagavad Gita su Upanishads. That means there's a message of Upanishad. What's the difference between the Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita? Upanishads are more difficult, more complicated texts. Very difficult to understand for many people, particularly understanding the language and all that and putting that into, but how to connect it with the day-to-day life. That's important. And sometimes it looks like it's superfluous. Like, for example, the student learns in Upanishad, everything comes back to the dad, and the dad looks at him from a distance and, oh, can see the arrogance of the knowledge that is there. And then dad says, oh, you have learned, hey, yeah, I've learned everything. And then dad asks, have you learned that knowledge which by knowing which everything you will know? Immediately says, my teacher doesn't know that. Did you ask them? Go to the teacher. See, there is that kind of a situation in Upanishad. Bhagavad Gita is not like that. But the same ideas of Upanishad, put it in a simple language, easy language. A chain mon manasi prajna tadyachen jnanamatmani, like that Upanishad is there. The same thing is given in Bhagavad Gita also in a simpler language, easier language. This is what we can learn that. And Bhagavad Gita su Upanishatsu and the Brahma Vidyayam. It's not an ordinary Vidya, Brahma Vidya. If you do not, as I said, even the banging of the bells and all those things, if you do not look at from the point of view of Brahma Vidya, you have not understood Bhagavad Gita. And then what is there inside is Yoga Shastra. Shastra is a science of the life. That's what is Yoga Shastra. Krishna Arjuna Samvade. Beautiful idea, Samvada. Samvada means use the intellectual exercise for the growth of knowledge. You are not important, the other is not important. Knowledge is the central figure, that's important. When that grows, that's what is Krishna Arjuna Samvade, then all these things are there. So this is what is basically the way that Bhagavad Gita is an extraordinary, wonderful text. It's a life guide for all of us. That is there. Huge Gita, 700 slokas are there. So as I said earlier, that we'll try to take up these 78 slokas, 72 slokas that are there, 18 multiplied by 4. Try to work with that. And in the process, this 18 slokas that we are doing from each chapter, there may be necessity, sometimes necessity comes to see that either one shloka before, one shloka afterwards. I might have to connect that. So we may have some more shlokas. But I thought that when we are doing this, let's not be in a hurry. Understand that very clearly, apply it from the day-to-day life and see that how we can progress. So that's what is the next journey that's going on with Bhagavad Gita in the next few sessions that we come across. Okay. With this introduction, I will stop it here. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Can unmute and ask the questions if you want any, if you have any. Or if you have any doubts also, you can ask. I don't want to leave people with doubts. You can be clear.
Will you be explaining the difference between Rama's depression and Arjuna's despondency?
Okay, I'll do that. Rama's depression and Arjuna's
Despondency.
despondency or Arjuna's
What is that?
anxiety.
Anxiety.
These two things, we will try to understand that between these two. How the situation has driven them into what. So that is what we will talk about it. The next class.
A great introduction, sir. Great.
Thank you. Lovely.
If Arjuna and Yudhishthira had to go in front of Yudhishthira is Dharmaraja. If he was standing there instead of Krishna, what did he believe about fighting?
No, he would say yes. Krishna is Dharmatma, and he says that we have to fight the war. We'll fight the war. There is no question of any discussion at all if Yudhishthira is there. Because Yudhishthira knows very well that Krishna is giving in the right direction and taking us in this way. And there also, in the war also, Yudhishthira, if he has to make somebody else to do something, he will make him to do it. You see, that's what happened in the case of the dice game. Say, oh, they are right, so therefore that they get. Hurry, you could have stood in a different way. You could have taken a different stand. He did not do that. The question that Draupadi asked, he could not answer that. That is the kind of situation he is. So he was not a fitting leader for that. That's why Arjuna was the leader, both for Bhagavad Gita and also for the whole army.
Because I used to wonder why
he selected Arjuna. Not Yudhishthira, selected Arjuna. Right. Thank you, Deborah. You are here online. As I sent you the link, I thought I was wondering about that. Lovely. We can close down session. Thank you so much. Stop it here. Pick up next.
Next time it will be lovely to see you all offline also, those who are in Bangalore. It will be nice to have the vibration here. For Bangaloreans, I'm talking, South Bangaloreans. See you all. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.